They're monkeying with the database. All right.
We're the arms attorneys. Today we're talking about whether or not you should still go out and get or just maintain your handgun license if you live in a constitutional carry state, which more and more of us do now.
Yep.
Stick around. We're going to talk about benefits to licenses such as reciprocity, school zones, and many, many more. And before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button.
And to start off, we get this question a lot. We have, at the time of this filming, we have 25 states that have signed constitutional carry, permitless carry, or some form of, not needing a license or permit to carry a handgun generally in public going into effect in the next several months. So this is half the country now. And we get this question from clients all the time. Hey, my state passed constitutional carry. I have my license to carry or my permit to carry a concealed handgun. Should I renew this thing? And there's just so many stinking benefits that, what do you tell your clients?
Yeah, well, and we can break it down. We'll talk first about sort of general benefits to everyone across the country.
Yep.
And then you're also going to want to do your research on a state-by-state basis. Some states create more benefits for you as a license holder than others. But I think generally we can just start with, reciprocity is probably, it's highest on my list. If you travel throughout the 50 states of this country, and you want to be able to carry your handgun in at least half of them, right? You may have a recognized license or permit. Now, of course, you might be going to a state that doesn't recognize anyone's license or permit. If you're going to New York or New Jersey or California, it really doesn't matter that much either way, frankly. But, if I'm a Texan and I want to go to Louisiana, Louisiana does not have constitutional carry. If I want to be able to carry concealed, I need that Texas license, right? So, if you travel and you want to stay protected, it can be extraordinarily important.
And why reciprocity is, people say, well, I'll just illegally carry a gun. Well, here's why it's so important that you don't do that, apart from committing maybe a criminal offense. It can affect your self-defense rights. What if you're carrying a place that you're not legally allowed to be with a firearm and you're forced to defend yourself? Well, it can really mess up your self-defense rights. So that's why reciprocity, I think, at the end of the day is so stinking important. But that brings up the second benefit, which is ease of firearms purchases. And there's a disclaimer here, and we'll link to the ATF website in the description below. But a lot of states' handguns, licenses, and permits can serve as a substitute to the National Instant Criminal Check System background check when you go and purchase your firearm. So I'll describe, if you're don't have a license or permit, you go purchase your firearm, you pick out your gun, they take your driver's license, they get all your information from you, they type you in, and then they get a proceed, delay, or deny from NICS, essentially. But what does it look like if you have one of these recognized licenses or permits, Emily?
You do not have to go through the NICS check, which, you might say to yourself, well, what does it really matter? I'm qualified to purchase a firearm. That's why I'm going in there to do it in the first place. Don't go in and try if you're not qualified. Do not lie on your 4473. But assuming you are, why does it matter? Well, look back to the year 2020 and how long it was taking to actually get your hands on a firearm because of the NICS background check delay. Really, I think we can fairly say that there was a time where the only people purchasing firearms were people with licenses who could bypass the background check because it ground to a halt.
Yeah, and you don't know when the next emergency is going to be. And so that's another reason it's so stinking important. Get your license or permit.
Or when weaponized incompetence becomes the new legislation.
Oh, yeah.
With the federal government.
Wonderful point. We didn't even intend on talking about that, but that's a wonderful point. The feds, there's no other way. I have to quote a lawyer. They're monkeying with the database. All right. No, I'm going to keep the source anonymous on that one. But they're tinkering with the database, and it's returning so many false positives. That's another added benefit. Really good point, Emily. Another great reason to get your license or permit is that, we call it the designated good guy. If you go look at, I love this map on Wikipedia. It shows the change in handgun license or permits over time and how they became more widespread. I will say law enforcement officers generally are used to license and permit holders, and they really appreciate people who've gone and taken those extra steps, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Plus, I think we can add to that a little bit in our designated good guy. Not only do police officers like it, calm down, maybe you get out of a speeding ticket, maybe you don't. But, you know, when we're in the courtroom, we're arguing to a jury about your use of defensive force or deadly force. There is some kind of magic in being able to say that you are a licensed gun owner. I don't know what it is. I mean, we all know, like a state like Texas, you know, you go take your 4-hour course and there's really not a lot to it. I mean, there's really no magic to it at all. But you walk into a courtroom and jurors have a lot of respect for that license. And so, you know, if you ever have to use it in self-defense, I would say having a license is another designated good guy point, you know, as your jury.
The next one is federal gun-free school zones. So we have the Federal Gun-Free School Zones Act, which generally states that a person can't carry a firearm or possess a firearm within 1,000 feet of the grounds of a school. Now, there's a ton of exceptions to this law that makes it a little bit more sensible, but most importantly, I would say, is having a license or permit issued by the state in which the gun-free school zone is located. So what does that look like? Oklahoma, you know, pistol permit, Oklahoma school zone. That would qualify as an exception under the federal gun-free school zones law. Now, I do have to add a caveat here. Some states do have their own extra protections around schools and make those places extra sensitive, extra off limits. But with regard to federal gun-free school zones, that comes up quite a bit, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think then we would be remiss if we did not mention, I mean, those are all general benefits. They apply to all of us nationwide. But dig into your state's constitutional carry law and see. I mean, there are some states for which, and I get it, I've looked into them, there is absolutely no difference between being a licensed carrier and a constitutional carrier. And in that state, you might ask yourself, well, okay, can I afford to get my license? Are these, you know, general benefits really worth it? There are other states where it's really, really important to have your license because you still get lots of benefits. There are places you get to carry with the license where constitutional carriers do not get to carry. There are maybe warnings you get in terms of, you know, locations or defenses to arrest even. You get as a license holder that constitutional carriers do not get. So really dig into your state statute or contact an attorney licensed in your state to talk through what those benefits might be. In some states, way more important than others and something you might really want to consider.
Yeah, but we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And please continue to question and comment below. Until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.